What's up, legends? Benchmark Bets is back, and today I've locked in 2 NBA picks. But that's not all. I'll take you through some leans that I like in today's slate. So buckle up, I've done the homework. Let's hit these and stack these wins. Alrighty, before we get into today's picks, let's do a quick recap on the last NBA video. And yeah, it was a rough one. We went 0-2, just an absolutely shitty day, but it happens. First pick was Zion Williamson, over 24.5 points. He had 15 going into the third quarter, and then didn't score a single point in the second half. The matchup was there, everything lined up, he just didn't get the shots I was hoping for. Then we had Anthony Davis, over 24.5 points, and honestly, he played like absolute shit. Shot 7 from 23 from the field. He had the opportunities, just couldn't score to save his life. But look, that's bound to happen when you've got a hot hand like I have recently. All we gotta do is shake it off, new slate, and let's start today off with a banger. So, for the first pick, we're heading to the Bulls versus Pistons game. I'm looking at Cade Cunningham over 27.5 points. So, for the season, he's gone over this line in 15 out of 33 games, averaging 26.7 points, which isn't the best. However, got to factor a few things in. So firstly, Tobias Harris is out, which does change this hit rate a lot. Over in 6 out of 10 games, averaging 30.5 points. But also, there's a few other factors. So Cade loves to score from beyond the arc and also within the paint, where the Bulls leak heaps of points. They have the 3rd worst defense from above the arc and also the 4th worst defense from within the paint. Also, in the last 15 games, they have the 9th worst defensive rating in the league. So when you factor in his expected minutes, which is between 30 to 40 minutes, and also versus teams that are ranked pretty poorly in defense, he's over this line both times, averaging 33.5 points. The Boogies are also expecting this to be a high-scoring game with a total of 231.5, and when Cade has been in exactly the same scenario as before, so with the expected minutes, but also where the game's meant to be over 230 points, he's over this line in 9 out of 15 games, averaging 29.1 points. He did verse the Bulls recently this season, only scored 23 points, but had a pretty shocking day from the field, only scoring 33% of his field goals. So I'm expecting him to have a better performing day today, and should definitely go over this line. Pretty much the bottom line is all signs point to a big scoring night for Cade. So, for the second pick, I'm heading to the Bucks versus the Warriors game, and I'm going with good old Giannis over 29.5 points. So, for the season, he's over this line in 13 out of 22 games, averaging 29.3 points per game. So, last game he did play these 32 minutes, so I'm expecting him to play his usual minutes, between 26 to 36 minutes. And when you factor those in, he's over this line in 10 out of 12 games, averaging 33.2 points. Not only that, for the season, the Warriors are pretty mid-tier for defending points in the paint, where Giannis scores 89% of his points. So when you factor in the minutes and also factor in the points in the paint to mid-tier teams, he's over this line in 3 out of 5 games, averaging 30.4 points. Once again, all signs are pointing to Giannis having a solid performance today. So that's pretty much it for the main picks. Let's go through some leans. So let's go back to the first game of the day, between the Wizards and 76ers. And I was looking at Quentin Grimes over 12.5 points. So Kelly Oubre is back for this game. And with Kelly Oubre in the lineup, he's over this line in 9 out of 12 games, averaging 16.6 points. Not only that, he does have a pretty soft matchup today The Bulls leak points to above the arc, within the paint, also to spot up shooters and transition plays, where Quentin Grimes loves to score from. Also, his expected minutes between 26 to 36 minutes, and with Oubre in the lineup, he's over this line in 8 out of 11 games, averaging 16 points. When he versus teams that allow heaps of spot up shooting, he's over this line in 5 out of 6 games, averaging 17.7 points. So again, all signs are pointing towards Quentin Grimes having a good, solid performance. And then for the second pick, in this one, I'm looking at Tyrese Maxey over 28.5 points. Pretty much exactly the same reasons for Quentin Grimes, except he plays a lot more and has a lot more of the ball. So, like I was saying before, Maxey loves to score from transition plays, from spot up, from above the arc, from within the paint, and also as a primary ball handler. So, with Kelly Oubre in the lineup, he's over this line in 7 out of 12 games, averaging 32 points. Not only that, when you factor in soft matchups against pick and roll ball handlers, and also with Kelly Oubre in the lineup, and also with his minutes, he's over this line 1 out of 2 times, averaging 35.5 points. Even when you take out Kelly Oubre out of this factor, he's over this line in 3 out of 5 times, averaging 31.4 points. So again, another solid scoring performance for Tyrese Maxey. Not only that, for both of these plays, there is a pretty high gain total of 234.5, so I definitely see these guys getting busy. And if this game is a blowout, Quentin Grimes will play a lot more minutes, so both plays are very, very promising. So that's pretty much it for the Wizards and the Suns game. So in the Bulls versus the Pistons, obviously had the Kane Cunningham play, but I was also liking Javonte Green over 8.5 points. Some bookies have 8.5, some others have 9.5. I still like both either way. So, a few things you got to factor in first. So, Tobias Harris is out, and also Duran is out, where he's over this line 100% of the time, averaging 14.5 points. Not only that, he does have a pretty soft matchup today. The Bulls allow points in the paint and also from above the arc, where he pretty much scores 100% of his points. So, when you factor in the minutes, actually I don't even bother doing this, still going to be 100%. So regardless, Javonte Green over 8.5 points is a very solid play. Would look to play the 15 points and even the 20. Hopefully he can get there from some nice juicy odds. So that's pretty much it for the Pistons and the Bulls game. Let's look at the Raptors and the Hornets. Had nothing really here. Was looking at like Conker Nipple and all that, but I just couldn't see anything that I liked. Same with the Raptors, I was looking at Ingram and Emmanuel Quickly, but again, nothing that I really liked, so skip this game. The Celtics versus the Nuggets, going with Derek White over 5.5 assists. Pretty much took this 2 games ago, but I'll tell you the reasons again. So, for the season, he's only over this line in 15 out of 34 games, averaging 5.3 assists. However, got to factor a few things in here. So he's expected to play 30 to 40 minutes. Hit rate jumps up a bit, but still the same average. So when you combine the minutes and also assists allowed, which is a favorable matchup, it's over this line in 6 out of 8 games, averaging 5.9 assists. Pretty much where the line should be. However, I can still definitely see him getting over 5.5 assists pretty easily. Just need to see one thing, if he has versed them this season already. No, he has not. However, recent players have gone over this line in 3 out of 6 games with a 0 average difference. So they expect him to either get 5 assists or 7 assists. So I wouldn't play anything more than that. So I was also looking at Anthony Simons again. He's been playing like a beast over his last 10 games. Over his line in 6 out of 10 games, averaging 14.6. Only thing is, he does score most of his points from above the arc, where the Nuggets allow the 11th fewest points. However, over the last 15, they have been giving up a bit more 3-pointers. So if you look at teams where he's versed at least from middle of the pack to the worst defensive teams, his hit rate still isn't the best. However, over his last 4 games, he has been smashing it. So I could be enticed to take this again. but I'd only really take 15 points or 20 points for the value. Wouldn't really take 13.5. There's no value in that. So for the Clippers and the New York Knicks, was looking at two players, but not too confident in now. Jalen Brunson over 28.5 points. So for the season, he's over this line in 19 out of 34 games, averaging 29 points. However, since he hasn't played them yet, nothing really to judge. Also, looking at this hit rate from the board, doesn't look the best. However, they do give a lot of points to pull up jump shots. So when you factor that in, over the last 15 as well, it's over this line in 8 out of 13 games, averaging 30 points. So it could definitely be enticed to take this, but it is pretty juiced already, so it's not worth it for the odds. And then the other boy was Miles McBride, over 10.5 points. So over his last 10 games, he's been smashing it over this line in 8 out of 10 games, averaging 14.7 points. Also, Josh Hart is out, which gives him a 100% hit rate. However, his matchup isn't the best, but the opportunity is there and the points line is still pretty low for him. So he should definitely get close to this line or even actually smash it. Again, I'd only take the 15 points, wouldn't take anything lower than that, just due to the value from it. So that was pretty much it from the Clippers and the New York Knicks one. Obviously wasn't looking at anything from the Clippers, just can't trust any of them. Obviously Kawhi has been playing like a beast, you could go with him. But 30 points is a pretty high line for him, especially against the Knicks, who have a very good defensive rating. So the Pelicans and the Hawks, don't really want to touch anything in this. Obviously you go with your guys like Jalen Johnson and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but they don't have the best matchups today, and Trae Young is questionable for this game. So don't really want to touch anyone from them. And the Pelicans have been absolutely shit recently, so don't even want to trust that. Trey Murphy obviously scored his 43 against the Lakers, but this is against a Hawks team who are absolutely godlike in defense, so don't really want to touch him. So the Nets and the Magic, was looking at MPJ for over 24.5 points, mainly because of the hit rate, nothing else really. He does have a pretty average matchup today, but it's just because of his hit rate, that's why I wanted to take it. Even with Cam Thomas in the lineup, he has been balling over this line in 6 out of 10 games, averaging 23.8. Could definitely see him going over 24.5 points, especially with the way the Magic have been playing. Nothing else I was really looking at. Nothing I want to touch from the Magic until they can start performing again. Black's going to scar me for a little while now. So with the Suns and the Grizzlies game, I was looking at Colin Gillespie over 12.5 points. So for the season, he's over this line in 23 out of 36 games, averaging 13.8 points. Not only that, he does have a soft matchup today. The Grizzlies give up heaps of points from above the arc, and also heaps of points to pick and roll ball handlers when he is in the second unit. So when you factor in his minutes, which is between 24 to 34 minutes, and also when you factor in 3-pointers allowed, he's over this line in 8 out of 12 games, averaging 13.3 points. Pretty much the same hit rate, except you can see that he does get it from soft matchups. The only thing is, he had a pretty poor performance in his last game when he was expected to have a very good performance, but still couldn't get it done. So that's only negative I can see here. But again, would take the 15 points or the 20 points here just for that value. And then in the Jazz and the Warriors game, wasn't really looking at anything. Don't really want to touch anything from the Thunder. Sorry, Warriors. Jazz and the Thunder game. Don't really want to touch anyone from the Thunder until they start performing again. But you always got to go with Shea for 30 or Shea for 25. That's always a good little parlay piece, but the odds are going to be juiced all the time now. I could look at Lauri Markkanen, but again, only just because of how he is and how many shots he takes. It's the only reason why. Nothing else. Spurs versus Lakers, obviously you got to go with Wemby, but again, just depends on how many minutes he's playing. But 20.5 is a pretty low line for him, so it could be enticed to take that. Have a look at it closer when I wake up in the morning. And then finally, For the two last games, the Blazers and the Rockets, nothing really I was liking here. I was looking at Donovan Clingan for his rebounds. He does have a pretty soft matchup today. He is versing Steven Adams, not versing Wemby. And in the recent game, I think Sengun. I think Sengun gave up like heaps of rebounds to the guy. Can't even think who it is right now. But Clingan has been rebounding like a beast over his last 3 games. Those last 10, he's been averaging 12.4 rebounds from 23.9 rebound chances. All right. So he's pretty much just been living under the basket. But yeah, over 11.5 is a pretty low line, but it is plus money as well. So love plus money rebound lines. But just not 100% on it because they've been allowing the least rebounds over the last 15. And that hit rate doesn't speak volume to me. But at plus money and also all the rebound chances he's been getting, and with the softer matchup, I think he could definitely get there. Worth the play. And then finally, for the last game, obviously have the Giannis play. That's pretty much it for today's picks and leans. If you're enjoying the content, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop your favorite player in the comments below. As always, stay safe, good luck with your bets, and I'll catch you in the next video. Laters.